here you are, face to face in this trashy bar. Another glass and I am going places. Makes me laugh about the irony of everything. I like the way you're thinking. I don't really care about the music on the dance floor. I don't really mind all the smoke is in the bathroom. I don't care at all, babe.
Hey everyone, it's Kiana, just posting my labor and delivery video of my twin boys. So, the whole process was pretty crazy. It was a little scary. Nobody could really have predicted this was going to happen. I've had two pregnancies before, and I gave birth naturally and everything was fine. The labor was long, but I mean, in the end, the babies were born and everybody was healthy and happy, and it was great. This time around with the twins, it was a little bit crazy. So I was 36 weeks and 3 days. It was March 3rd when I went into labor. I started having contractions. They were about 5 minutes apart whenever I decided to go to the hospital, but for almost a week I was having contractions 10 minutes apart, and they were consistent, but then they would go away for an hour or two and then they would come right back again. And on March 3rd, I again was having contractions every 10 minutes, and they were just not going away this time. And they started getting closer, but then they would go further apart again, and so I just really didn't think anything of it. I was making dinner, and we went to my parents' place, and we were all sitting down and watching a movie. It was late at night, and all of a sudden, like, my contractions, I noticed, were getting really close, and so I decided to start timing them just to see, because it felt closer than 10 minutes apart. And so I started timing them, and I realized they're 5 minutes apart. And so I kept timing it, and they were 5 minutes apart for over an hour at this point. So I said, yeah, I'm going to call labor and delivery and see what they say, what they think I should do. And so they told me, you know, you're having twins. You're at that stage of where twins are usually born, which is the 36-week mark. And they said, you know, you should come in for sure and check everything out just to see. So I went in with my fiance. We dropped off our two daughters at their grandparents' house, and we just went in just for a checkup and not really thinking anything of it. Like, we knew the contractions were close together, but we still didn't think, you know, labor was there, like it was time. We got there, they put me on the monitors, and my contractions were every 5 minutes apart. And then they started getting closer to 4 minutes to 3 minutes, and then they would go back to 5 minutes. But when we were monitored, they were saying that, you know, their staff was short, so they really were trying to keep those babies in as long as they could. And the fact that I was still not at 37 weeks, they were trying to buy us some more time. So they gave me a shot in my hip to try and stop the labor, and they gave me some pain medication, which my doctor had said also helped with stopping labor as well. And with all of that, I was still contracting every 5 minutes, and then it to every 3 minutes. So the labor was not stopping. The doctors wanted the labor to stop because they did not have, like, emergency staff, like, for C-section just in case. And the fact that, you know, I had twins, they needed a lot of staff. They needed more people than usual for the babies. And So a few hours had passed. I called my mom and told her, you should come because I think this is it for real. And she lives a few hours away, so it took her a bit of time to get down, and I wanted to make sure she didn't miss it. And she got there. I was still in a lot of pain, and I had got the epidural at that point. My doctor had told me, it's recommended that you get it, especially with twins. Like, they really wanted me to have it, so I decided to get it just because of that. And I was pretty nervous, the fact that I was having twins, so I just wanted to listen to the doctors, and my doctor had delivered so many sets of twins, and I wanted to go by her word, and that's what I decided to do. But of course, with an epidural, you get your dose, and then you can press the button to release more of the medication. And I didn't do that. I wanted to feel my body and know like what was going on. So the minimum of the medication I could get, that's all I wanted. I didn't want nothing more than that. My pain started getting really bad, and like everything still felt like my normal labor that I've had before with my other pregnancies. So I felt better knowing what I was feeling rather than just not knowing anything, with the epidural completely numbing me. So the next day comes, their staff starts coming in, and everybody's feeling better that, everyone's there. Just my labor was still progressing, and they knew they couldn't stop it, so they just let my body go on its own, and then they started me on Pitocin to help the process of the labor, because my contractions were there, they were strong, everything was on the go, like there was no stopping the labor. They tried and they couldn't, so we just progressed the labor at that point. It was about, I would say, maybe 9 in the morning whenever they decided that they were going to break my water. And it got postponed a little bit because my doctor, she was just so busy. She was delivering babies all night. She had been in the surgery room delivering babies as well, so they kind of postponed it. And my doctor decided that she would have another doctor help her with my twins for the labor and delivery process as well. So at this point, it's about noon when they finally break my water. And I had great nurses, like everybody was fantastic. I really, really love the hospital that I had my twins at. I had all of my kids there, and they're just great staff, and my doctor, just great. So at this point, they broke my water. They had an ultrasound ready. The machine was there ready just to check and make sure babies were still head down and everything was good. And there was a bit of a scare once my water was broken. Baby A, his heart rate started dropping. And that was scary on its own, just because like the whole room kind of goes crazy and they tell you what to do and you have to do it right away. They flipped me to my side and made sure that, baby was okay. And because of that, they decided to put a monitor on his head internally, and just to keep track of both their heart rates, because at this point they were moving and it was hard to keep track of their heart rates. Like, we kept losing the heart rates, but it was because they were moving. And this way it was easier. We just had to manage one monitor and the other one was on the baby's head, so we were good that way. At I would say it was close to 3 o'clock, and I knew baby was pushing down. I felt like it was close to the time to push. Like, I just remember the pressure, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think this is gonna be much longer. My nurse was like, "Oh, you were just at like 3 centimeters before. You still have time. I'm sure you're fine." And but about 10 minutes later, I was telling her, "Yeah, I think it's time because my contractions were getting worse. The pain was there, and the pressure was there. So I knew it was time for baby." And so she checked me and she was like, "Oh yeah, you're fully dilated." And with my last baby, when I started pushing, the doctor almost missed the labor. Like she came in right at the last moment, and I almost delivered the baby without a doctor. And this time too, the nurse wanted me to do a practice push, and when I did, she was like, "Okay, you got to stop now. We need the doctor." She was a little worried that I was gonna have the baby without the doctor as well. And whenever we waited for the doctor, I was so ready to push. They were pretty much telling me not to push, and I needed to push, but they didn't want me to because they didn't have any doctors. And the fact that it was twins, like, the nurses were a little nervous too. They wanted to get the doctors there right away. And so I was waiting for the doctors, and finally my doctor came in, and I was like just so ready, and she got everything set up really quick, and we started pushing, and it did not take very long. I looked over my birth video, and I think it was about 5 pushes, and first baby was out. He was born, and it was just an amazing experience knowing like I finally had my first son, and it was just really emotional, but it was beautiful. Like, it was a great experience, and sorry. So they brought out the ultrasound to check for baby B, and he flipped around, so he turned breech, and when I heard that, I was just really very nervous. That was one of the things I was really nervous about. Pretty much my whole pregnancy was needing to get a emergency C-section or something just going wrong. I was just really, really nervous. And when we heard that he had turned breech, like, everybody kind of got nervous, but they were trying to calm me down and tell me it was okay, like everything was gonna be okay, it was fine. So they did the ultrasound, and my doctor said, "Okay, we're gonna try and flip him." And they tried, and he just was not flipping around. And he's the bigger baby out of both of them, so it was harder. So they decided that I was going to deliver him breech. And I had 2 doctors in the room helping. And they decided that they wanted to take me to the OR to deliver him breech, just in case of anything happening. They had all their staff and everything in there.